Welcome to the Humanities Team podcast with me, Steve Farrell. Humanities Team is an international spiritual movement whose purpose is to communicate and demonstrate the timeless truth that we are all one, with the divine and all life, caring for each other and the world we share, so that people's actions reflect this profound understanding within our generation. We believe that living this truth is essential to resolving the most chronic and acute world challenges and vital to creating a flourishing world of peace, harmony, and happiness. We offer transformative education programs in personal and spiritual development, and we host an annual event called Global Oneness Day. Similar to Earth Day, which galvanized the global environmental movement, Global Oneness Day has become a catalyst for spiritual activism and an integral part of the present-day global oneness movement, which represents a profound new paradigm in human culture. Humanities Team is the only global nonprofit organization working in transformational education. Since we are a nonprofit, there is no focus on growing profits or satisfying shareholders, and 100% of all revenue goes toward our work supporting conscious evolution, planetary awakening, and flourishing at every level of life. If you'd like to learn more about us or want to support our mission directly through donation or volunteering some of your time, please visit us online at humanitiesteam.org. And lastly, if you enjoyed this podcast, we'd be grateful if you'd leave us a review.
Hello, I am Lisa Garr, host of The Aware Show, and thank you so much for participating in this year's 11th anniversary of the Global Oneness Summit program. 11 years is absolutely amazing, so thank you for being here. The title of the overall event is The Power of Love, and it is about resetting humanity to a new way of living on Earth. And this particular subject here for this particular session is pivoting in a time of uncertainty, creating success and healing. Those two things really go together because our current world is filled with uncertainty everywhere we look. And you might even be asking yourself, what does the future look like? What does my future look like? What our future is going to look like is a future that we're going to create together. If we really are doing this together, it's about co-creating our future. And the beauty of this moment is it's about pivoting, it's about change. And change requires each one of us to step into a new way of being. The old ways of being and the limiting beliefs no longer work. We no longer have the luxury of indulging ourselves with those self-sabotaging thoughts. There's no time for that any longer. The stakes are way too high. So we are all being called to be leaders in our own lives, in our families, in our companies, in our businesses. And most important, it starts with being a leader of yourself. I had the really awesome opportunity of interviewing a business leader who's been in the field for like 30 years, Jim Selman, and he said something that made a lot of sense to me. He said, leadership is the willingness to commit to a possibility before the evidence of its existence. To commit to something before the evidence of it even appearing to be real. And the way that you do that is through ideas, imagination, collaboration, connection. And that's what we're doing today is we're talking about ways that we can pivot together, change together, and we can come up with these ideas as individuals, but it takes the togetherness to execute them. And so thank you for joining me in creating this new conversation, this new world, a new culture, and a new way of being with three amazing ladies to have this conversation with. And I'm really excited about this panel. So first of all is the wonderful Debra Poneman is joining me. She is a true pioneer in the world of transformation. In the 80s, Debra had started her wonderful Yes to Success seminars. They were being taught around the world, several countries, and people really learned so much from Debra. Her graduates went on to become successful entrepreneurs and New York Times bestselling authors and powerful world changers, brilliant people, household names. And she at that time was an in-house trainer for companies like Mattel and Xerox and McDonnell Douglas, really incredible companies, speaking a lot to women and how to be a corporate trainer. So she was seen all over the world, and in her height of her success, in her book, In the Hands of a Top Agent, with her own television show and negotiations, Deborah decided to follow her true calling, which is to be a mom. And she followed her heart and created incredible children. One who is now, her daughter is a doctor of chiropractic, and her son is an Emmy-nominated filmmaker. Brilliance all over the place, that family. So welcome, Deborah. Thank you so much for joining me. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's always great to be with you and the wonderful Star and the wonderful Christy.
Yes. So Christy Whitman, the amazing star of Christy Whitman, we have 3 stars here today. Christy's also a transformational leader as celebrity coach of law of attraction. She is the law of attraction expert. She is also a 2-time New York Times bestselling author, and I love her books. It's called The Art of Having It All and Taming Your Taming Your Alpha Bitch. Can we say that? Taming Your Alpha Bitch. I love that. It gives you liberation to say that title. I love that. And she's also the best-selling author of Quantum Success. And she's got a new book coming out called The Desire Factor, which is really exciting. And she also has appeared on the news, Today Show, The Morning Show, TEDx, incredible magazines, and has written about Quantum Success Learning, which is her academy, the Quantum Success Learning Academy and Quantum Success Coaching Academy, which is a 10-month law of attraction coaching certification program. And she has qualified over 3,000 life coaches, which is wonderful because they're helping people and she's helping people. So welcome, Christy.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so honored to be here with you and with Deborah and with Star. So thank you for including me.
We're having fun.
Yeah.
And so our additional star is Star Bobatoon. Star's background is incredible. She has a background in employment law and gives her incredible valuable insight into HR and corporate communications through the corporate culture environment. She has also over a decade of performance on stage and screen. So she combines these 2 incredible techniques to be able to do this. She is a diversity attorney, which is a wonderful way of delivering what it is that she does. She's worked with Fortune 500 companies to ensure that their diversity programs archives their missions while also staying in legal compliance. And before that, Star's law practice focused on harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination cases, federal and state courts. She's really done an amazing job with leveraging her legal background as a consultant with her incredible ability to facilitate trainings and communicate the information that people need in order to create new futures together. So you can see, hello, Star.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Nice to be here. Hello, ladies.
So we're going to have a dialogue here, a dialogue that's going to help us create new futures and new possibilities together. And that's what's exciting to me because that's how it happens. I want to just start off by asking about this new world that we live in. We're living in a world where we have a pre-COVID world and a post-COVID world. And I'd like to know from each one of you, I'm just going to start off with this kind of short answer. What is the best thing that has happened to you as a result of this pandemic world that we live in, this stop down, this changing world we live in? And what is the toughest thing, the biggest challenge? And I'm going to start with you, Christy. What is the best thing and what's the toughest thing?
You know, the best thing for me was that I love being at home. I mean, I've had an internet business for 15 years. And so nothing really changed for me other than having my 9 and 11-year-old, 10 at the time, be home with me and be homeschooled, and having my husband who literally just jumped in and as just a complete partner saying, I got it, and taking care of them in their homeschool so I could still be of service. And I was thinking about it. It's like, I hate going to the grocery store and having someone breathing over my neck. So I like the 6 feet distance. That's someone I don't know is, they're distancing, and I like that. So for me, it's been really being connected to those that I really cherish and love the most. So we've had so much more family time and so much more intimate time in doing that. And they're off doing soccer, they were off doing school, and I get to spend more and more time with them at a very important time in their life.
Yes.
So that's one of the best things.
Yes.
I would say the negative things really hasn't been about me. It's just been seeing so many people in such fear. And that's really, as I am a channel for the Council of Light, they said that when this first happened with COVID and everything, stopping, they were saying that this is an amplification time, and that each and every person is going to have amplified within them what's been under the surface. And as we are forced to stop and literally go within, whether it's just staying in our homes, but being forced to not being so busy and doing so many things, that whatever it is, whether it's loneliness or lack of, perspective of money or career or whatever it is, someone may be in fear of health, that's going to be amplified for each person. And it's an opportunity to clear out that low stuck energy and bring in and return to the fullness of who we really are. And so the hardest part has been watching a lot of people that don't know this information get stuck. And so I'm grateful that I've been able to serve those that have been stuck to move them to the other side.
That does add a lot of clarity. That's fantastic. Thank you. We'll explore more about that message in a little bit. Star, I wanted to ask you, what are the greatest things that have happened and the biggest challenges that have happened as a result of this pandemic?
I would say they're both very much in the same realm. My background, of course, is employment law, handling cases in discrimination, harassment, all the things that bring us together as a people. That was me. So I transitioned out of doing that, doing more of the soft skills, doing more communication, presentation skills. This is what I love to do, and this is what I do all the time. The biggest thing that happened with the shutdown is, of course, my calendar cleared. Thank you very much. That was a very, I know that I'm not alone, but I'm telling you, in that moment, I felt very alone. And so it required me, as we say, to pivot. And so the best thing is that I've been able to, rekindle some of my love for doing the diversity work. I moved away from it. And then when the pandemic came, I was able to do more of that again. And so that would be the best thing, to reignite that part of myself, which I love. The hardest part of this is the fact that I have to still do diversity work.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? The fact that our world is such that it is, that even though I haven't done this for 10 years, here I am doing it again. It's still necessary. That has been a hard thing to adjust to. I mean, everything else is just, I'm healthy, I've got food, my kids are safe, everything else is good.
Yes, but I hear you on that point, and I don't agree with it either. And I pray every day that we finally have moved the dial. I pray every day, and I believe it is starting to finally move. I know that we've just begun and we've just started this again, but I think more now than ever, everyone is listening.
I agree with that.
That's, God bless. God bless. And Deborah, if you could also name a great thing and name a challenge that has happened in this new world we're in.
Okay, well, I am very clear about my great thing, and that is I love my work. I love my work so much. I love creating presentations. I love creating emails. I love giving my presentations, and you know that, Lisa. And it's my happy place. And when I get invited to like a party or a concert, once in a while I go, and because I'm not great at saying no. And what's been great for me is I haven't had to say no. I can just be in a happy place with no guilt. And I have created so much content, and I have created so many programs and so to me, that has been a blessing. And then of course, my son, who lives about a half hour away from me, he's always, Mom, can I come over for dinner? I mean, it used to be he would hardly pick up my phone calls. And now there's just something about what's going on. I see people nodding their heads. There's something about what's going on that you want to like connect with Mom. You want to just have that connection with people who are like your rock. And so I talk to my kids a lot more. I FaceTime with my daughter a lot more. She's a chiropractor in Seattle. So that has been glorious, the connection with my kids, and also that I get to do what I love. What's been difficult for me is the same thing that Christy said. It's my life is good because I happen to have a business online. But what's always hard for me, all of us are empaths. I think everybody who listens to something that's put out by Humanity's team is an empath. And when we feel the suffering of others, we feel helpless. And what I have to keep reminding myself, Lisa, is my own teaching, which is every act we do. I tell that story of the rabbi who took out the scales of justice and said, if there are equal sesame seeds on this side and this represents the pain, and this represents an age of enlightenment. And every time we do a good act, we put a sesame seed on the side that's going to bring about an age of enlightenment. And every time we do something that's mean or vindictive, or we take credit when credit isn't due, or we do something that's, we lie, we cheat, we steal, we defame someone, we put a sesame seed on this side that brings us to an age of destruction. The rabbi says that we are not as helpless as we think, because how do we know that last little act of kindness that we do doesn't tip the scales, like that one sesame seed, to an age of enlightenment? So whenever I feel helpless about what's going on, I just think, do more acts of kindness, do more acts of giving, because that might be the sesame seed that's going to tip the scale to heaven on earth.
It's interesting because the theme here is the positive thing that has happened is more connection. And it's interesting because we're, isolated, quote, isolated, but we're more connected with the people that mean the most to us in our lives. We're not overscheduled as we were, which we were definitely overscheduled everywhere. There was so much opportunity. There was so much, yes, in every instance. We're not overscheduled, but we're connecting more than ever. And there's been a beauty to this kind of slowing down that we've been experiencing. And that slowdown has enabled us to stop and get outside of ourselves and look at the pain in the world. And we've seen it through the social injustice. We've seen it through the lack of food that's available for too many people. So I think that this is, as you say, Christy, it's calling up what was on the surface. A lot of the things that we maybe were running too fast and not paying attention to, although they were screaming, they were happening. Social injustice is happening every day, poverty, starvation every day. And yet we were in our let's go get them type of world. And that's what we were being marketed to do. But this is a time where everything is changing. No matter what, it's going to change. And so my question is, in this place of picking yourself up and recreating, what's the theme? As you say, Deborah, if we're going to be putting a sesame seed on the scale of enlightenment, what is the way to make that pivot towards the scale of enlightenment, the way to pivot that's going to actually create social justice, and the way to pivot that's going to actually really help our mindset move in the right direction? And that's the biggest challenge, because as I said earlier, you can fall back into the negative thinking or the defaulting beliefs that are limiting and having you not get there. So I'm going to ask, in a different order, I'm going to ask Star, What do you feel that we need to do? Is it a mindset shift? What is it that is going to help us pivot in the right direction?
Excellent question. When I teach presentation skills and communication skills, I often talk about the story, because if you've heard storytelling, it's a big deal. It is a great way for us to connect with people. And I also talk to people about their own story, because I think there are two stories. There's a story that you share with the world, and then that there's that story that goes on inside of ourselves. And I think a lot of times when we get stuck, as the ladies have said, when you get stuck in that place, you are stuck in a story of your own creation, but you might not be aware of that story. And I think with a lot that's going on, people are stuck in a story. And what's worse is that people are not hearing other people's stories. They're not open to hearing another person's story or to understanding where another person is coming from. I think what is necessary is for us to become aware of our own self-limiting stories. Where is the evidence? Where is the proof? Finding out those stories, and then let's start to change those stories. Let's start to change it, because what I've learned in practicing law is that, there's the plaintiff side and there's the defendant side, and they have their interpretation. The only thing that is real, the only thing that is true are the facts. And those facts are neither negative nor positive, but we spin stories. We spin stories on those facts. And if we can become aware of them and just decide to spin a different story, I think that we will do a lot better.
Wow. That is really well said. Yes, we are all about our stories. Absolutely. Christy, what do you feel would be the biggest thing that could help us pivot mentally, physically, spiritually? What is your perspective?
Well, it goes along with what Star was saying, is that, we have to pay attention to our energy. We have to start becoming more energy masters. And what is energy? It's the stories that we tell, the meaning that we make things. We're great meaning makers, right? The words that we say, the thoughts that we think. So it's not just mindset, but it's also the emotions that we feel. It's the imprints. If we're coming from a place of reactivity and instead of being in the presence and responding to what's in front of us, we're coming from a pain point. So what's really happening is so many people are bringing so much of their past and that pain body with them, and everything's being activated. Instead, being able to understand that everything truly is energy. So if I'm having a thought, that thought's not real, it's energy, and I can shift that thought. If I'm having a story that I've been telling, woe is me story, that victim story of how it all is so bad for me, we got to shift the story. And we have to shift the meaning, and we have to shift the emotions. And really, that is really what's important for us to do now, is to understand that we don't have control of anything outside of us, but we do have control in our free will. That's what every single human being gets, free will and choice. And the only thing we have control of is our own consciousness. So the thoughts that we think. We can't control anybody else's thoughts. We can't speak for anybody else. We've got our own. And when we can really come from a place of responsibility of what am I saying, not only out loud, but to myself, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What perspective am I holding? What story am I sharing? That those are things that we have control. We have free will and choice to change it, to make it move in the direction of what we do want to create, in the world that we do want to see, and the connections that we do want to have. So it's really about mastering our energy.
Yes, it's very interesting you say that, because the mind's eye sees the visualization of the thought that it's having. So if it sees the lack, if it sees that there is not a job there, if it sees that there is, I feel for the restaurant people that are on again, off again, inside, outside. And, these industries, entire industries are going to either go away, which is scary. I have another company in the audience industry, and we're really struggling with how that's going to look. And to stay in a place of visionary creativity and positivity is a stretch, but it's mandatory in order to not have the entire industry go away. And so it's interesting because it does come to your inner imagination, your inner story, as Star was saying, and your inner energy. If we can get all of those aligned, we can start to create a new reality, new conversation, a new world. And that's what we're doing here. Deborah, what was the question I was talking about? Do you know?
Well, whatever it is, I have the answer because I.
All right. It was really good too. I was asking what type of thought do you need to have or be in order to create the next step.
Yes, because so many people, what's happening now is that their current reality has just crumbled. Their job, their business, like you say, restaurant, this, that. I say the most important thing, and both Star and Christy touched on it, is to keep your vibration high no matter what, because you are like a tuning fork that can only attract a like vibration. And a tuning fork that's vibrating F sharp is not going to attract B flat. So if you're vibrating fear, you can only attract more fear. If you're vibrating, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen, only more of the worst thing is going to come into your life. So I say do all the spiritual and energetic practices that you know that can uplift your vibration. So it's a match for what you want to create. If you lose your restaurant, I mean, you know these things, like before you go to bed at night, write down all the things you're thankful for. It seems like, oh yeah, write down the things, but are you doing it? You know,
right. Right.
And by the way, I don't live in a vacuum. I happen to live in Chicago. And I know that there are real problems out there that people are experiencing. But the truth is that if you have a roof over your head and if you have food in your refrigerator and you're watching this on your computer or your smartphone, you have so much to be thankful for. And also, if you have lost your business, write down the qualities of your ideal job or your ideal business that probably wasn't what you were doing anyway. And again, use the old tried and true tools. Visualize yourself in that business. Visualize yourself thriving, but visualize this feeling, juicy feeling. And I'll say one other thing. If you're feeling depressed, do what doctors and metaphysicians have said, psychologists for decades, and that is wake up in the morning and ask, how can I serve? How can I give? How can I contribute? How can I uplift somebody today? And I won't go into the science because you all know it, but if you perform charitable acts, you do random acts of kindness, it triggers oxytocin, which is the feel-good hormone. And you have reduced anxiety levels, and cortisol goes down, which is the stress hormone. So acts of kindness, guys, if you're not feeling happy, if you're feeling in pain, do those things that have been scientifically proven to decrease pain and decrease depression.
Well,
and
you've been a meditator for 40 years, Deborah. You a Maharishi University graduate and taught TM to business leaders, world leaders. What is your practice other than, in addition to your meditation, how do you use meditation on a daily basis, your personal way to uplift yourself and stay in this place of incredible gratitude and turning sand into gold? I watch you do it all the time.
Well, thank you, honey. And here's the thing about it. My meditation, okay, and I taught TM for about 25 years, and now I teach through the Art of Living Foundation, but it's a very similar practice. But what it does is that it's been scientifically proven, again, to release stress, to release tension, to release anxiety. It's not oh, I feel better. Oh, I am now happy. Oh, I am now in the present moment. No, you get the deeper rest than deep sleep, and it throws off weeks and months and years and lifetimes of stress. So because I have that basis of inner peace, which you have when you are not stressed all the time, it's like Amaji, the hugging saint said, now is the time to cling to your spiritual practices. So when the world shakes, you will remain unshakable. So yes, we need spiritual practices right now to give us that foundation so that we are unshakable, because God knows the world is shaking. And then it's spontaneous. You spontaneously see how you could turn sand into gold. It's not difficult if you have less stress, if you're having less anxiety. And that's what those practices do for me and do for those of us who practice them.
So you hold on to your tradition, you hold on to your practice. Star, I'm going to ask you, how do you think that we can really, what type of practice can we do on a daily basis that can help balance our ever-changing world, balance the social justice conversation? What practice do you do?
Well, I am right up there with Deborah. I very much like meditation. I've been meditating for probably 10 years, not as long as you, and I've done different things of it. And I got to say this. I just want to say this. When all of this is happening, when the hard times come, I believe I'm just like everyone else. And I want to run, and I want to hide, and I want to climb in bed, and I don't want to talk, and I don't want to meditate because I don't want to, because I'm mad or I'm upset or whatever. And I know that even while I'm feeling these feelings, even while I'm feeling anxious, I know that it's going to be okay. And for anyone who is going through that, it is natural to feel anxiety. It is natural to feel upset sometimes. You know, I believe in acknowledging where I am, acknowledging what I am feeling. But I also know I don't have to stay here. I don't have to create a story about this. I can just say, hey, you're feeling sad today. We're going to give you an extra hour. Yeah. We're going to give you an extra hour. But and I make deals with myself all the time. I'm like, look, I know you're not feeling well. Do me a favor. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes of meditation. That's all I'm going to ask of you. 5 minutes. I have these conversations, and I do the 5 minutes, and it turns to 15, and it turns to 20, and I feel better. And I feel better every single time, even when I try to run from it. And I would suggest anyone do that. Call it meditation, call it prayer, call it what you want, but be quiet, sit still, connect with your inner self. They say that praying is talking to God and meditation is listening. And so sit still and listen. Obviously, the universe has decided this is a good time for this, right? On a worldwide scale, it's a good time for some quietness. I definitely believe in meditation. I believe so strongly in gratitude. Whenever I do a training, we always start out, tell me 5 things for which you are grateful. And usually I tell people that you can't say life, God, health, family, job. Life, God, health, family, job. Don't say that, because I know you're grateful for that, because people go to it all the time. I want you to think, what else is there? People will say, I'm grateful for oxygen. Thank you. When's the last time you gave gratitude for oxygen? I can see. That's what I'm talking about. However, in the land of COVID, suddenly, life, job, health, family, suddenly, those things are paramount. We are thinking about those things differently than we have in decades. You know it. You know that you were just saying, I'm just grateful for being alive, right? Didn't give it a second thought. But today, we're giving it a second thought. But I love the practice of every morning waking up, as soon as I open my eyes, before I grab my phone and see what's going on in the world, before I, rouse my beautiful children, before any of that, 5 things for which I am grateful. And I change it every single day, right before I go to bed, right next to next to my bed. I have a pad and a pencil, and I write down 5 things for which I'm grateful for that day, whatever happened that day. So it keeps me centered in that day. I am always looking at the positive side. Whenever I find myself going down some road, some thought road that I don't want to be on, it's just a story. It's just a story you're telling yourself. Tell yourself a different story. I just shift the story. So those are some of the things that I do.
I've been on that thought road. I've been on that thought road with you.
Down that road.
I've been on that road. It's got a dead end sign at the end of it. I like the other road star. Yes, I hear you. I do. So thank you for that. And Christy, I understand that you're a channel for the light. And I didn't mention that in your bio. I'd love to know what practice comes to you that we can do every day, or message that your guides tell you that we should be doing every day.
Well, since I've been channeling the council, it really is such a deeper perspective, because, you know, like Deborah, like Star, I've been meditating for 25 years, and it was always a wake up in the morning, meditate, do it before I go to bed. And what I've really got from the council is that we're as much energy beings as we are physical beings. And, you know, for our physical beingness, we have to drink all day long. We have to refresh our body. We have to eat all day long. We have to eliminate all day long. We don't just sleep once and say, oh, you know, I slept a week ago. We do this on a daily, consistent basis. And so energy work, whether you call it meditating and connecting to that divine that breathes you, is checking in throughout the day. It's like every time you drink a glass of water or you're going to eat, just stop and fill yourself up, because we are energy receivers. And we have trillions of cells that all have receptor sites on them that need to be filled with energy. And so if we're not deliberately choosing, say that I just want to be filled with joy today, if we're not filling ourselves up throughout the day, we're going to get inundated by energy of social media, of the people at the grocery store. That's why empaths are like, I can't be around people, because they're picking up on everybody's energy, because our receptor sites, our cells need it. So as we stop and just say, in this moment, I just want to be filled with just so much success, and just feel all of your like cells just be drinking in the success or the joy or just the life force, you feel better. I mean, you're aligned. So you're coming closer to that place of attuning to that road that makes you feel better, right? Attuning to that gratitude. But it's a huge difference. It's not just doing it once or twice. And for, you know, this is just moments throughout your day to just bring in that energy and just feel that. List the gratitude, but feel the gratitude.
That's a great idea. So pick a theme of what you want to feel and immerse yourself in that feeling. So as things are changing constantly, like we might think we have something figured out, and then it changes. The rules change, the environment changes, something will change as a result of that thing that you just decided. So to choose the feeling that you want, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's changed or not, right?
Correct. Because success will manifest for every single person in a very different way. You know, the feeling of joy will manifest for every single person in a very different way. It's us that brings in the vibration, and then from that vibration, it's always energy first, and then the forms follow, right? And so when we can bring in the energy, what we have been visualizing, what we've been wanting, what we've been communing with the divine about, those are the things that manifest uniquely and individually for every single person. Because we talk about diversity. It's designed that way. How boring would the divine be if every single person looked the same way, acted the same way, had the same exact circumstances and situations? The divine created it that way so that we're individuated in very different circumstances, situation, looks, everything, so that it could create through us uniquely and individually.
That's now, what if you want the feeling of connection, Christy, and you're not able to see family, or you don't live with your family, or that you haven't been able to travel? How could you create that connection and that feeling in our socially distanced world?
So if that's the essence, that's a great question, Lisa. If that's the essence of what you're wanting to feel, what would it feel like to feel connected to your divine, to yourself? Because we have to remember, we hear this a lot, that our outer reality is created by our vibration. You know, we create our life. It's almost become such a concept, but when you really live from that, and that's what this amplification time is about, by the way. If someone is always feeling lonely and they're like, if I just had an ideal partner, then I'll feel connected. Right. Well, you're coming from lack, thinking that if I go get this partner, place, thing, money, whatever it is, then I'm going to feel. And we have to come from a place of, if I'm so lonely and desperate, and now I'm in lockdown, I have nobody to live with, great. Loneliness is being even more. This is a time for you to connect. Now, you may not know what that feeling of connection feels like, just like someone that's maybe been overweight their whole life doesn't know what it feels like to be thin, or someone that's been poor doesn't know what it feels like to be rich or abundant. But it's bringing in and cultivating the energy that the one that's breathing you knows how to feel connected, knows how to feel abundant, knows how to feel successful, knows how to feel fit and in well-being. It's our divine birthright. It's our divine design. Just like every single one of us, we're built with one brain, one spinal cord, one heart. You know, there's the physical attributes. All of us look very different, but none of us are walking around with beaks or tails. It's designed that way. Well, in the non-physical, we're divinely designed to have health and well-being, to have abundance, to have just co-creation and success with that part of us, to be able to have loving and supportive relationships with everyone, not just the one person, with everyone, our neighbors, our mother-in-laws, everybody. And when we tune into that, that becomes the presence in our life. It has to be. The personality doesn't have to figure it out. Personality might go, I don't know what connection feels like, but there's a deeper part of you that does. And as you intention is to feel connection, but ask it, it's always given. Mm-hmm. You ask, but then get in the receiving mode of it and imagine it. Feel what do you think it would feel like?
That's interesting, because in this time where companies are pivoting and people and individuals and jobs are completely pivoting, I sometimes find myself looking at, what are they doing? What's that industry doing? What's that person doing? How did that company figure it out? Is anybody with me on that? It's just kind of like, whoa, what am I missing? A little bit of FOMO there. And I then, how do I not do that so that I'm comfortable, even if I might not be changing my job or anything like that? How do I create from not a place of competition or fear, but a place where I am actually able to bring that essence forward, Christy? Is my question clear?
Yeah, so competition, when you look at things from a spectrum, competition is in the side of lack, right? Instead of being able to look at someone and go, ooh, that's brilliant, and being inspired by that, that's a great idea. That's being in the side of, ooh, I could do that too. Right? And so it's an understanding of the law of sufficiency and abundance, that it is a spectrum, and whatever doesn't feel good, competition doesn't feel good when we really think about it. You know, comparing ourselves to others, being jealous, envious, all of these things that separate us from our true consciousness, all of it feels bad, you know, but when we the tipping point is satisfaction. So trying to find the positive aspects, we're back to that gratitude, right? Feeling grateful for what you have in this now moment. Yes. What are the positive aspects of this moment? What can you find the satisfaction in? What can you, I attracted that in my experience to look at that. Maybe there's something there for me. Then you're getting into a place of being in abundance, and that's when you're aligned, and that's when your own unique ideas can come through you.
Yes, it's very necessary at this time, because there, as I said, are industries that are not coming back. And not only do we need to learn how to kind of duck and dive around the things that are coming at us with viruses and illnesses and so forth, but we've also got to find a way to create our own, forge our own path. And Star, you said that you started to do this with the fact that lawyers can't go into a courtroom right now, right? In terms of litigation, how has your industry pivoted for still providing justice for people and giving people a voice? How have you pivoted?
Well, I know that a lot of my attorney friends are coming back to the courtroom in spurts, in small ways, and trying to do more mediation, more negotiation, more figuring out, what do you really want? A lot of what goes on, when I was a practicing litigator, it's because two sides want things, and we can't figure it out, so we need to go to court to figure it out. I think there's a lot more of, okay, we can't go to court, so we got to figure it out. So there's a lot more, I think, conversations and giving in this season, because we don't have all the things that we had before. And I think a lot of times litigation is, people litigate, in my opinion, people litigate because they're pissed off. Because their feelings are hurt, because they have been offended by something that has happened, and we don't want to listen to each other. I'm going to take you to court. But I find, now that we can't necessarily go to court, and if the feelings are the issues, let's address the feelings. Let's address what's really going on. I think there's a lot more listening now and a lot more willingness to negotiate.
That is phenomenal. That is amazing news. It brings it back to the reality of what we really want anyway. Thank you for sharing that. Deborah's laughing and shaking her head like, yes, let's do more of that. Oh my goodness. I have noticed, Deborah, in the personal development industry, that many of us are changing the way that, of course, we had live events and there were lots of people and live retreats and so forth. And almost everyone I've spoken to in our industry, they're so grateful to not be traveling 30 days a month. And the universe is kind of grateful as well, because we're not putting all of this pollution in the air, and we're restoring some of our carbon dioxide levels, and it's actually really healthy for the planet. So what if that doesn't come back? What if we stay with the communication through this wonderful virtual level here? What if it doesn't come? I know it's scary, Star. I know. But that means one industry, like the airline industry and the travel industry, really will suffer. There's that dichotomy, like it always is in nature, is there's the blooming of a beautiful rose, but below it are the very sharp thorns. I'm just wondering if any of you have a perspective on this. Maybe, Christy, you do, from a spiritual perspective, of how does this divine God-giving universe deliver up something that's so painful for some and so good for others?
Again, it's all what's being amplified. It's perfect what Star said. And I didn't even have that perspective on the law, but it's like, that's what we're talking about. It's working with the energy. Your emotions are energy, being able to process your feelings or your emotions in order to come to a common agreement. It's like that with everything. And that's what is being amplified for us right now, is really that we have to take control of what we can take responsibility for. And it's our own consciousness. The council has said this too shall pass. We'll be back traveling, probably not as much as we did. I was talking to Mary Morrissey just yesterday, and she's like, I never realized. She was like a spinner. She like go-getter, doing so many events, right? And she was like, who knew I would love being home so much? She got a puppy for the first time in her life. How many people are getting puppies right now because they're home, right?
Yeah. Yes, a lot.
Right. So, people are just really enjoying the groundedness of being home. And I think it'll get back. We were so out of balance that it'll come back into balance. Maybe we would travel and we do the retreats, but it's not like a road warrior where we're gone so much. What's really funny is that I was thinking about going out and doing more. And I was literally, the week that the sporting events, that's what was the barometer for me, because my husband's like, all the sporting events, like, we're done, right? I was in Colorado creating opportunities to get out there and speak. And it was like, I got to get home. And it was right then that everything shut down. And I'm like, I'm listening, universe. You want me home. I can serve from my computer. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So however I can serve, however I can be in alignment, I'm willing to show up and do that. So
it's a good thing to listen, as Star said, and to ask, how can I serve? And Deborah, you had raised your hand.
Well, it was a few thoughts back, but I just want to say, what's so interesting is that the beginning of the pandemic, as scary as the thing was, we couldn't go out. We started wearing masks, but we thought it might last a month or two. So there was kind of an air of novelty about it. right? And we tried new ways of connecting, like Zoom birthday parties.
Yes.
And we had a Zoom Passover Seder. And many of us had relatives. All the relatives on my dad's side came together. We had a family Zoom.
You haven't seen forever, right?
I did. Some of them I had never seen, like the kids. It was just amazing. And it was fun. But what's interesting is that I had some of the deepest connections during those events. It was my favorite Passover Seder ever. At my daughter's birthday party, we had her first babysitter, her first boss from her first job, her favorite professor from chiropractic college, from all different cities. That couldn't happen in real life. And some of us on the line here were members of TLC, and Lisa, you were one of the hosts. Usually we go to these exotic vacations and locations. What was so interesting is that we had our Transformational Leadership Council meeting online. And at first we were like, oh, we won't have the beach. We won't have the fun.
Hugs, yes.
And the hugs. But to me, I never connected so deeply with some people. When we had our breakout rooms, there was no distractions, like the waiter asking us right in the middle of our most deep connection,
right,
if we wanted more, shrimp scampi.
Whatever.
And right, or jumping up because someone else just came into the room, or our favorite, someone you're talking to looking around the room to see if there's somebody more important to talk to than you.
Oh, that
right, our favorite. But it was, of course, it would be nice to give people hugs, but I found such unexpected benefits from this. I loved it. I mean, maybe not for all the events, but I think that many of us have been so surprised at the beauty of this new normal. And as you said, it leaves less of a carbon footprint. It sure saves us a lot of money. And we get to be with our family more because we're not just all over the place. So there's a lot of good in it too.
I think if we were to create a list of the pros and the cons of COVID, our pros list would actually be longer. And it's based on this call. Yes, I have deep respect for those souls who have lost their lives and who have traveled to a distant place that we won't know until we get there. I do have deep reverence for those. And I don't think they should be a number as a ticker tape on CNN. I do feel that we have the allegiance to say thank you to those souls for whatever difference they made on this planet and to spend time with them. And that is why this whole concept of global oneness is exactly what we're talking about. We bring together in just this panel, we've got 3 people from very different backgrounds. Deborah, who's been teaching since the 80s. We've got Christy, who's channeling a God beings of light. And we've got Star, who's in the legal field. And look at the 3 of us can have this conversation about what's the same. We all love connection. What's challenging? We've had to pivot greatly in our businesses, but we all have these incredible ways that we've done this that we've just shared with the world through this incredible forum, this Humanities Team Global Oneness Forum, which is incredibly vast and connecting. So I love what we've created here. I love that we've created possibilities. We've shown what it's like to bring together a group of powerful women who have created a lot in their lives and are here to say, what do we do with this next step? We've pressed the pause button. We've been paused for a while. What do we do with this next step? Because life is different forever now. And the quicker we realize that, I think the less pain and suffering we're going to go through and thinking that it's going to be any different. So what I would love us to do is create a moment of silence, if we can, just a few moments where each of us watching and each of us on this panel have that level of deep reverence for those souls who have crossed over, and that deep reverence for those who are still here on this beautiful planet Earth, and how we can pivot together to create a sense of global oneness. And I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes and experience what that feels like to be connected to all souls living and moving on. I'm seeing a beautiful circle, a gorgeous circle between all of us and all that are listening and all that are a part of this. And if there's anything that you want to share, Christy, did you see anything specific during that time of silence?
Well, it was, I was bringing in the council, and so it was just this big love energy all around the earth, and everyone included, and then the ones that were going back into non-physical. So yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah, to include the ones that are no longer with us and as a part of the larger plan. Yeah, it gave me chills. Anyone else want to share anything that you experienced during that time?
I just had my same thought, which is everything that's happening right now, the fires, the floods, the hurricanes, the senseless killings, the COVID, it's all clearing the way for something glorious, as it is written. Nothing is permanent. And as Christy said, this too shall pass. Well, she didn't say it. I think they said it in the Bible first, but
I wasn't the author of that.
But
I the council, for sure.
I think we all believe that there is a golden age just around the corner, and we all chose to be here at this time. So even if we're suffering, we made the choice to incarnate at this time. And as the theme of the summit addresses, the only thing that really matters is love. And my first teacher that you pointed out, actually, it's been 50 years that I've been meditating, and my first teacher was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he always said, there is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer, and no disease that enough love will not heal. And it makes no difference how deeply seated your troubles are. He always would say that sufficient love will resolve it all. He would say, if only you can love enough, you would be the happiest, most powerful being in the world. So maybe now that we've stopped long enough to take a breath, we have time to really think about what's important and reset our own lives, tuned to the power of love.
Yes, absolutely. The power of love. Star, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share about what it means to pivot in the time of uncertainty or global oneness?
So when I was a young attorney, and when I was an attorney and we'd have a case and we'd have to develop an argument for our side, and my boss would tell me, go look up other cases to support our point. Go find the precedent, right? Because you gotta use precedent to tell the judge, look, this has happened before, and so I would like you to do this again. And my message is, we are in a time of uncertainty for sure. There's not a lot of precedent for what we're going through for this generation, but that's good news because we get to set the precedent. We get to decide what this session, this season means. We get to decide where we go from here, and we get to make decisions based on what we decide today. That gives us power. It may feel like we have no power, we have no will, we feel helpless, but when it comes to setting the precedent for our future, that is all us. We have that opportunity.
Oh, from your mouth to God's ears. We do. And if you actually look at the time we're in, historically, and the precedence is that out of the recession came a boom, a baby boom out of the Depression. Out of war, unfortunately, comes a rising economy. After every war, there is a spike in the economy to reestablish faith and belief in that particular country. So, yes, we can look at out of every crisis. Historically, there's a precedent of a boom, an awakening, an enlightenment of some kind. And I believe we are all in that transformational leader capacity, back to the idea of leadership, where our next opportunity, the next action that we can take really comes from us creating what it means that hasn't been evidenced before, but is really creating that next boom. We get to do that together, and we are so much stronger together. So much stronger together. We've learned what it means to have a leadership that's in it for himself, and we've learned what it means to have a leadership that's in it for the people. And that's what we represent, is we represent the people. We are the people. So I'm really excited, I guess I could say, for what's to come. And I think we all can be. And let's hold that, the possibility idea of creating a new humanity, new conversations, greater connection for all of us to do this together. And I appreciate each one of you. So in the final moments, I just want to give a way for our audience to be able to connect with you. Star, what's the best way for some to be able to connect with you?
Best way is to go to my website, starbobatoon.com, and there you'll see a lot of what I'm doing. You'll be able to pick up my books, which are just positive, uplifting stories like the ones I've told today. That's the best way.
Great. Thank you so much. And Christy, how can we find out more about what you're up to?
Well, you could go to ChristyWhitman.com, and also you can go to watchyourwords.com, because that's going to give you 30 days of videos where you are going to learn like what words to not say anymore. So you can shift your reality to say the words that actually feel good. So watchyourwords.com.
I love that. I saw that come through my email. So thank you for that reminder. Watchyourwords.com. And Deborah, Miss Yes to Success, how can people reach you?
That's where they would reach me, my website. And it's yes to success.com, and lots of free stuff there too. My fabulous, I think it's fabulous ebook on the 5 secrets of true success, and also videos, and just go and you have fun.
Enjoy. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate the depth of the experience that each one of you have shared with us today. You're both incredible leaders in your work, in your families, in your communities, and of yourselves. That's exactly what I talked about in the opening here, is that's how we show up in this world today, is being leader of those 4 things, and I'm sure many more, but those 4 things are what we were focusing on, and you absolutely all embody that. So thank you. My deepest gratitude for you all. And until next time, my wish is for everyone just to please stay aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
If you'd like to receive all of our new podcast episodes, please click on the subscribe button. To find out more about Humanities Team transformational education programs and about how you can help support our mission, please visit us online at humanitiesteam.org, where you can also sign up for our email list so we can let you know about our free online events and other news about what we're up to each week. And again, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. Thank you.